generation.
Dates in the Bible don't quite match the marriage certificate. Uh-oh.
And welcome to another spine-tingling episode of Extreme Genes, America's family history show on extremegenes.com. I am Fisher, your radio root sleuth, on the program where we shake your family tree and watch the nuts fall out. And this segment of the show is brought to you by FamilySearch.org. Nice to have you along. Today, we've got Brooke Gantz on the show. Now, she is probably the biggest troublemaker in the history of the world of genealogy. If you're frustrated by not being able to get records that should be accessible to you, you need to talk to Brooke Gantz, and you're going to want to hear what she has to say. She started an organization, a nonprofit called Reclaim the Records, and she's using Freedom of Information Act to go out and get governments to release information to the public and make it available online for free. It's unbelievable, and you can be a part of it. You'll hear from Brooke coming up in about 8 minutes from now. Hey, don't forget, we're running out of month, and we want you to sign up for our weekly Genie newsletter. It is absolutely free, and for anybody who signs up in the month of June, you've got a shot at a free DNA kit we're going to be giving away on July 10th. So get signed up today. We'd love to have that in your hands next month. But right now, let's head off to the Highlands of Scotland for David Allen Lambert, the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society in Boston. But where exactly are you in Scotland right now, David?
Well, today I'm in Edinburgh, Scotland, part of the NEHGS research tour that we are doing with 25 genealogists. It's a great time. The weather is good and finding lots of dead Scots and records.
And thank goodness for Skype so we can talk to you. You having a good experience?
Very much so. In fact, the best part of it is I actually brought my daughter. My daughter's great-grandfather actually emigrated to America at the age of 3 with his parents back in the 1920s, and this is the first member of her family to be back in Scotland since then. So she's only 17 miles away from where they lived.
Well, great. Well, I hope you have a good time. Tell us what you got today for our Family Histoire News.
Well, with genealogy, you sometimes have to beware fraudulent genealogy. And a news story that's come up recently talks about a genealogist who's worked with over 100 surrogate court cases in the New York area, helping Eastern Europeans sometimes connect back to lost fortunes, either over there or here in the New York area. And there's a case right now where a woman is entitled to $8 million of a fortune left over by a late attorney by the name of Isaac Kramer. Well, it sounds like his genealogical research to help her may be fraudulent.
Ooh, are we talking forgery here?
Mm-hmm. Documents that are made to appear that they show a lineage, but are probably not correct. Now, if you look back in the past, there have been genealogists like Gustav Anjou who would make fraudulent genealogical claims for his client. But if you think about it, in the medieval time frames, when you're connecting those early kings, if you didn't give them something interesting, you may have lost your life.
Yes.
So fraudulent genealogy has been a way of life, unfortunately, for hundreds upon hundreds of years. So let the buyer beware. All right, my next story you have to dig a little bit to get to, and this one is actually in St. Augustine, Florida. Now, last fall, Hurricane Matthew damaged quite a bit of St. Augustine, the very early 16th century Spanish community in Florida. And this wine shop that was built in the 19th century was actually built on pilings that left the original dirt from pre-1880s untouched. They were doing some work, put down a shovel, and, well, they didn't find coins. They found kids.
Oh.
These are children that were under 7 years of age who died in the 1500s. They assumed about 1572 to 1586 with the associated pottery that was found in the burials.
That's incredible.
It is. And these children would actually be remains of some of the first settlers in America.
That's
Spanish
right.
Florida was
Yep.
pre-Virginia. And so this wine store could be sitting on a cemetery. Right now, the site is 6 foot by 12 foot, but could be bigger.
Wow.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, what are they going to do with the store?
I don't know. Hopefully they'll remove the children and give them a decent burial. Maybe your friend there who helped bury that child found in California could be contacted for something like this.
Absolutely.
Sometimes things that are lost are occasionally rediscovered, and that's the case of a mystery village up in Montreal in Quebec. The village of Hochelaga, which was a 16th century village discovered by explorer Jacques Cartier in 1535. His crew met them. There were over 50 buildings, longhouses, if you will, that had the occupants in there. However, when he did his return trip 6 years later, it was completely unoccupied.
Wow.
Gone.
What happened?
They don't know, and that's one of the things that you speculate in archaeology and anthropology is that was it the Europeans that gave them a disease? Maybe there was a war. Maybe they just moved.
Right.
But recently, archaeological work has located some of the 50-plus longhouses, and there was some archaeology that was found in the 19th century and in the 1970s, but now work is uncovering this hidden village which Montreal was built upon.
Isn't that amazing to think that there was another village right there under that massive city?
It really is. You know, and of course, this is Native American history, and that leads me to my next story, which is in Arkansas. I mean, of course, we know about the Trail of Tears through history, where the Cherokees were forced to move across. Thousands of them died. And the state of Arkansas is now creating historic signs that mark the trail, which I think is a very fitting and wonderful thing to have done.
Absolutely appropriate.
If you are not familiar with Thomas MacEntee, who is a national speaker on genealogy, he has a website called genealogist.com, where he goes in and reviews different blogs and talks about new ones and a variety of other things that are new in the industry. Check out Thomas's website, genealogist.com, and let me know if you find an interesting blog that we should spotlight on the show. As I sit here in the Highlands enjoying the view of Arthur's Seat in Edinburgh Castle, I will close with just one special offer. No, I'm not going to be giving haggis and blood pudding as gifts to our listeners, but for $20 off, you can use the checkout code EXTREME and become a member of AmericanAncestors.org. The New England Historic Genealogical Society, we've been around since 1845, and we'd love to have you be part of our growing family.
All right, David, great chatting with you. Be careful out there and don't let too much wind blow up your kilt.
Take care, my friend.
All right. And coming up next, we're going to talk to the lady behind Reclaim the Record. So she is a genealogical troublemaker. Her name is Brooke Gans. You'll hear from her in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Did you know that Family Search Family Tree is available through a powerful new mobile app experience? That's right. Now you can view, edit, and even add information to ancestors in your family tree whenever and wherever you are. You no longer need to wait to get home or make a date with your computer to view or update your family tree. You can add details to your tree when visiting with family or when capturing details from a trip to the cemetery. You can share new family history discoveries from classroom settings. You can even make the most of your time when waiting for doctor appointments or car repairs. Get started today by downloading the free Family Search Family Tree app to your Apple or Android device. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to get the Family Tree app for free. Exploring and expanding your family tree has never been more convenient. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to download the Family Search Family Tree mobile app today.
Legacy Tree Genealogist is a proud sponsor of Extreme Genes. Based in Salt Lake City, Utah, near the world's largest family history library, we've been working with genealogists all over the globe since 2004 to track down records, find your ancestors, and the stories that bring your legacy to life. We also analyze DNA test results, help you join lineage societies, and find missing cousins or heirs to property. Legacy Tree is the recommended research partner of MyHeritage.com and is the world's highest client-rated genealogy firm. Call us toll-free at 1-800-818-1476. Call now or register online to get a free estimate. Learn from our free genealogy tips on our blog at legacytree.com/blog. Even experienced researchers can benefit from our proven and experienced staff of specialists who can bring new approaches to old problems. Legacy Tree Genealogists. We do the research. You enjoy the discoveries. legacytree.com.
Extreme Genes is sponsored in part by 23andme.com, a personalized genetic service that helps you understand what your 23 pairs of chromosomes, your DNA, say about you. 23andme.com gives you a snapshot view of your DNA with more than 60 detailed reports on your health, traits, and ancestry, plus tools to explore and compare your DNA with family and friends. 23andme.com is the first and only genetic service available directly to you that includes reports that meet FDA standards. Here's how it works. Order your DNA kit from 23andme.com. Provide your saliva sample from home and mail it back to a CLIA-certified lab. Then you'll be notified when your reports are ready online. You'll also receive ongoing reports as new genetic discoveries are made and as 23andme.com is able to clear new reports through the FDA. See why more than 1 million people are experiencing their genetics with 23andme.com. Order your DNA kit today at 23andme.com.
And we are back. It is Extreme Genes, America's family history show, and extremegenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth. And this segment is brought to you by myheritage.com. And I got to tell you, it is fun to meet all the various people who are so involved in family history and making it better for you. And I don't think I have met a bigger troublemaker than my next guest from Mill Valley, California. Brooke Gans is on the phone. She's from reclaimtherecords.org. How are you, Brooke?
I'm great, thanks. How are you doing today?
Awesome. You got started at what age, Brooke?
I got started when I was about 19. When I was in college, I discovered some genealogy sites on the web, and that was my first introduction, and I thought, this is so cool, and that's when I started researching my family history.
Yeah, and then finding out that there was stuff out there overseas more easily obtained than stuff over here in the United States.
Right. Well, you know, my family is Jewish and landed in New York City at Ellis Island and got off the boat and basically stayed in New York City all these years until I moved to California when I married a nice guy from California. And their roots before that were in Poland and Ukraine. And what struck me is that some of these countries overseas have been doing a great job of putting their records online for everybody to use for free. Particularly Poland has been fabulous about scanning their old books, making them available in very high definition, high quality scans for free, no logins, no copyrights, things like that. But what kind of surprised me is that I could research a couple hundred years of my family in Poland, no problem. But when they got to New York and New York City, there was nothing online. I thought, that's strange. Maybe they just haven't gotten around to it, or maybe they just don't have the budget right now. But as the years ticked by, one by one, I still didn't see anything online for New York City. And that bugged me because, you know, I still identify as a New Yorker, even though I live in California.
Sure.
And I thought, how could the greatest city on the planet not have their records online? They have wonderful things stored. Why isn't it going online for us all to use? So I decided at some point, I am tired of waiting for them to put records online. So maybe there's something I can do to get these records online, even though I'm across the country in California. I don't want to fly across the entire country to New York just to be able to do research on site. I have two little kids at home. I can't just pick up and go to do my research as much as I might want to. So my initial thought was maybe I can use open data laws to get them to post some of this information, just a basic index, so I can more easily see what they have and what they don't have. But it turns out the open data laws are relatively new, and they're not really being enforced. They're optimistic. They think that every government agency would love to post some of their internal workings and internal data sets online, but there isn't really any penalty to government agencies if they choose not to.
Right, and this is not just in New York, but this is everywhere.
It really is. There's really been a movement to have all sorts of government data be declared to be open data, not under copyright, and published to various websites. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if they published basic vital records indexes on these open data websites?
Right.
That was my initial idea, is to get New York City to do that too, because they have never published that. But it wasn't really going anywhere. And I talked to many people in the open data community in New York City. I talked to them on Twitter. I tracked them down over email. I even spoke to them on the phone.
No, you're a pest.
I was. I really was. Because I wanted these indexes online. I wanted something from New York City to go online so I could do my research. It wasn't happening. And so that's when I got really frustrated, and I thought, okay, open data is not doing it. What can I do to get data online that's never been online before? And that's when I stumbled on the idea of using freedom of information laws to get records online that have never been online before.
Now, Brooke, I had a wife who served in government for some time, and she was really kind of surprised when she heard about this because she couldn't imagine how government agencies could not respond to something like a Freedom of Information Act. They go under different names all over the country, but the reality is these documents are created by the public, paid for by the taxpayers, and therefore they need to be made available, except in certain circumstances that requires that we protect privacy and potential ID theft, right?
Exactly. Every state has one of these laws, plus D.C. They may go by the name of a Freedom of Information law, a Sunshine law, open records law, public records law. Utah has the best name for their law, which is GRAMA. It's an acronym, GRAMA. But there are all these little state laws that are out there, and they can be used to get records from your state or city archives or library or agencies. So really what's supposed to happen in an ideal situation is that a person, a member of the public or a journalist or whomever, makes a request saying, I would like a copy of the such and such records from this state to this state. I would like them in such and such format if you have that available. Otherwise, I would prefer this other format. I'm willing to pay up to such and such for the copy. You know, you pay for the copy.
Right.
You don't get them for free. You pay for the copies. You can pay for the labor and for the shipping. All that's fair. And then you put in your information. What's supposed to happen is the government agency responds to you in a certain time frame. Sometimes it's within 3 business days. Sometimes it could be within 2 weeks. You have to look up the specifics of your own state law. And they say yes or no. And if they say no, they have to give you a reason why not. They can't just say, I don't want to.
Now, you had some problems with this, though, in New York, right?
Yes, I did.
This was the shocker because you would think that this is a place that understands there are consequences when you don't follow the law.
You would think so, but I think because no one had ever really done this before, it was new on all sides, and they were trying to blow me off. They were trying to say, no, we just don't do that. They never cited a law.
Right.
I should say what I was trying to request. I knew I wanted to request just a basic index from the New York City Municipal Archives. New York City is a separate vital records jurisdiction from New York State. So New York City is almost like a state unto itself.
Sure. Right.
But it still has to follow the New York State Freedom of Information Law, which they call FOIL, F-O-I-L. So I wrote a request saying I would like a copy of the index, just the index, the finding aid, to New York City marriage licenses between 1908 and 1929, which were stored at the archives. I picked this on purpose because I thought this is very useful. I have tons of New York City relatives and ancestors and collateral lines. But it's also so old that there's no way there could be a privacy problem. And I'm not requesting an actual certificate or license. I'm just requesting the index. So I thought this will be perfect. It's useful to me genealogically, but strategically, it also could be the start of a much bigger thing, which it did. It did become that.
Sure, yes.
So I filed my request 2 years ago in January 2015, and I said I would like this. And initially, the archives wrote back to me saying, yes. On their letterhead, they said, sure. I thought that was easy. That was great. I'm gonna ask them now for how much it costs. Please send me an invoice. Do you take credit cards? And at that point, the New York City Municipal Archives wrote back and said, oh, did we say yes? We meant no. Sorry, these are not available under FOIL. You can't do that. You can come on site and see them. You can fly across the country and come sit in here and see them.
Yeah.
So they're public records because you can see them on site. But we're not going to call them public records for the sake of replying to your request under the law. I thought that doesn't sound right. So I consulted with the Committee on Open Government in New York State. They are a free group set up by the legislature where there's basically attorneys in a room in Albany who will take your phone calls and your emails and give you advice for free about the New York State Freedom of Information Law. And I asked them, can I get these records? You can see them on site. I just want to get a copy so I can see them in California. And I plan on scanning mine and putting them on the Internet so everybody can use them. Doesn't that sound like it should be legal? And the Committee on Open Government said, yeah, that sounds right. That sounds fine. And they wrote a non-binding but legally well-informed advisory opinion, basically a 2-page letter, which I also forwarded to the municipal archives saying, look, they say these are supposed to be open under the law. Can I have my copies, please? I'll pay you for the copies. And the New York City Municipal Archives said, nope, we're just not going to do that.
Oh, boy.
At that point, I was stymied, and I felt really stuck.
They didn't know who they were messing with.
That was the start of when this stopped becoming just a personal project trying to get New York City records and became a movement. And I started a group called Reclaim the Records. We have a website, reclaimtherecords.org. And what we do is we file Freedom of Information requests using state Freedom of Information laws, and someday the federal FOIA too. And we use those against archives, libraries, and agencies to get copies of records that ought to be available to everybody. And if they fight us or if they don't respond in the proper time frame, we sue them. We take them to court, and we make them give us copies of the records, and we ask for our attorney's fees, which we've won already once.
Wow.
We take our records, we scan them, we put them online for free as free public data. No copyrights, no logins, totally public domain. You can reuse them, you can make a transcription of them, you can put them on your site, you don't need to ask permission. We want to tell people that these records have always belonged to the public. The fact that they were hard to get to doesn't mean that they were not part of the public domain.
Right.
They always were.
Of course.
So this case in New York City sparked that whole movement. So I had to file a suit against New York City Municipal Archives and their parent agency, Department of Records and Information Services. And I did. But when I filed the suit, I didn't just file as my name against them. I decided I need a group. So I created Reclaim the Records. And so the legal paperwork says Brooke Schreier-Gans and Reclaim the Records versus the City of New York. And we won our records. They settled with us. They gave us everything. And for the first time ever, those 48 microfilms with the indexed New York City marriage licenses were sent to my house. Brand new copies at $35 a microfilm plus $50 shipping.
Sweet. And so these are now made available online through reclaimtherecords.org. And you're not only sharing them there, you're making them available to places like Family Search.
Exactly. Everything we get, we then upload to the Internet Archive. We're happy to upload it to other places too, but we chose the Internet Archive rather than our own servers because they are a great way to distribute work. They don't require logins. They're totally free to use.
Right.
We upload all the data, so you can browse it on the Internet Archive, which is archive.org, or you can even download from them. You can download the raw images. They are public domain. And that one project worked out so well that it spurred many other projects going forward. That was in 2015.
All right, Brooke, we're going to take a break right here, and you can catch your breath. My goodness. That's an amazing story. And we're going to find out about what happened the next time she applied for records against this very same group and what you might be able to do this in your same state or city. That's all coming up in 5 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Hovorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks. Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chartmasters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartmasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chartmasters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style of genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chartmasters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chartmasters today at FamilyChartmasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chartmasters will give the greatest care to your family history.
And And we are back. It is America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes and ExtremeGenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth. And I'm talking to Brooke Gans. She is the founder of ReclaimTheRecords.org. She is genealogy's favorite pest because she actually goes after various organizations, archives, libraries, and when they don't share records that should be public, she sues them. And this segment is brought to you by 23andme.com DNA. Brooke, after you went through this whole thing with the New York Municipal Archives and you won your suit and you got your legal fees and you got the documents you wanted and you made them available to the public, what happened the next time you went after them?
Well, I should correct that a little. We actually settled, so technically I can't say I won. I just got everything I wanted. And we didn't win our attorney's fees the first time. That's the problem with Freedom of Information requests and the resulting suits if they aren't followed. You can win records, but not win your attorney's fees. A lot of times in most states, it is at the discretion of the judge.
Sure.
The first time around, we got our records through the settlement, but we didn't get attorney's fees. Luckily, they weren't that bad. We found a wonderful public interest law firm to represent us. But the second time, and there was a second time, we won our records in the settlement, and we also won our attorney's fees. The second time was about a different agency. The agency was the New York City Clerk's Office. I decided I want to get the rest of this index to New York City marriage licenses. And
Right.
where do you go to get married in New York? You go to the city clerk's office. That's
Sure.
where I went when I got married.
Mm-hmm.
And the city clerk's office had, at that time, the index, just the finding aid, to these licenses from 1930 all the way up to the present. So in 2016, I filed a Freedom of Information request with the New York City Clerk's Office saying, hi, I'm making a request under the Freedom of Information law. I'd like your index, just not the actual licenses, but the index to the finding aid.
Sure.
Everyone who got married in New York City, because I can't believe this isn't online. I can't believe you've never shared this. I can't believe you never gave a copy to anybody. I would like a copy, and I think lots of other researchers around the country would love a copy of your finding aid.
It's just the index.
It's just the index, and it should absolutely be available under the Freedom of Information law. This time, rather than saying no for no good reason, they did something even worse. They decided not to respond to my request. Yes. You are supposed to respond yes or no with some reasoning behind your yes or no within a certain number of days. The New York City Clerk's Office didn't respond. So we appealed, and they didn't really respond to the appeal. So I called my attorney, and I said, how would you like another case? And they said, sure. They called and left messages. New York City didn't respond. Eventually, at the very end, they said they started responding, and they said, we'll get back to you with a yes or no. And then they didn't give the yes or no. So we threw up our hands and said, bring it. And we filed yet another suit. Technically, we could call this a complaint. So we filed an Article 78 complaint in the Supreme Court of New York. And it basically says you are supposed to follow the Freedom of Information law, and you are not following it. And they kind of had no response to that. They had no good excuse. So they settled with us. They gave us all the records we wanted, and they paid our attorney's fees this time because they had no reasoning for saying no to our request.
Sure.
And for the first time, we got millions of records. The index to New York City marriages, 1930, we won all the way up to 1995. We had asked them originally all the way up to 2016 or 2015 at the time. They didn't give us past 1995 because, and this is a quirk of how we asked them, we had asked them for the index. It turns out starting in 1996, there was no separate index kept of New York City marriage licenses. There was just the actual database that they entered as the original record. There was no separate index, so I couldn't request it past that point. We got just the 1950 to 1995 part. That alone was about 6 million names. The prior part, 1930 to 1950, was, I don't even know how many millions of names because they're not indexed yet. They're getting indexed by various groups.
Okay, so this is a great thing. But now when you've gone after them, because there's a lot of material there, then the wall has basically been broken down. Do you have problems now with these people?
No, we don't. And this is why it's so important to use these Freedom of Information laws. Anybody can use them. I'm not an attorney. I'm just a really motivated genealogist who wanted my records from New York City so I could use them when I live in California.
Well, you've put together a marvelous organization as a platform for what you're trying to do. And we talk about New York City because that's what you went after. But really, this can be applied pretty much anywhere. Talk about how people can help and what they can do to participate.
So I founded the organization Reclaim the Records. Our website is reclaimtherecords.org, and we have just incorporated as a nonprofit. We have not yet put the shiny donate button on our website, but we are about to. And what we want to do is to help people file these sorts of requests of their own records that they want. Make requests of their own cities and governments and libraries and agencies who are not responsive to genealogists. If you want to get more records online, asking very nicely and saying, please, is only going to get you so far. At some point, you may need to use the law like we did, and we want to help you do that too. So we have an email mailing list where you're totally free. You're welcome to sign up, and we tell everybody what we're up to and what we want to work on next. We have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter feed. And we take requests and suggestions from everybody about records they know about that they really think should be public, but for some reason are not available. And they send it to us through our website. We have a record survey, and we look at every suggestion that comes in, and we think, is this actually available under their state's laws?
Sure.
Is there any reason this should not be available? If there's not a specific reason that it shouldn't be available, the presumption is this is a public record. It should be open.
Do you think, Brooke, that a lot of these people think that they could make some money off of this, and that's why they're holding it back, that there's a revenue source to be had?
I think that's part of it. I think a lot of these libraries and archives would love to put more records online, but they don't have the budgets. They're really having a budget crisis, and they do feel badly for them for that. However, there are many opportunities to work with a for-profit or nonprofit organization. It could be a for-profit group like Ancestry, MyHeritage, Find My Past, nonprofit like Family Search, or smaller nonprofits like a regional genealogical group. And many of these archives, unfortunately, don't want to team up. They don't want to make an index available, for example, because they want people to pay when they're doing a search for a record. For example, in New York State, up until very, very recently, about 2 months ago, if you wanted to find a death record, you could only look it up at a very small number of places on site at libraries in New York State. Or you could send something to the state and charge $22 that included the search time for multiple years.
That's right.
So by not publishing what they have, they are basically being the only holders of this information, and they can charge really exorbitant fees. I'm sure New York State, where it's $22, is not even the highest. There must be higher ones out there.
Yeah.
New York State is also interesting. Like I said, the state and the city are considered separate vital records jurisdictions. Reclaim the Records just won and published the New York State Death Index, 1880 to 1956. We're the first group ever to get a copy of this. The only other people who ever had it were a very small number of New York State libraries upstate, where it was only available on microfiche. It was never allowed to be given to any other group, not even Family Search Microfilm, not Ancestry, not anybody. And all those groups have been asking for it for years, and the state was just saying, no, we don't give that out. No, we don't give that out.
All right, so if somebody wants to join reclaimtherecords.org, Brooke, what do they do?
They can come to our website, sign up for our email mailing list, which is totally free. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. And we want to keep you informed and work with you to get more records all around the country opened up for the first time ever and put online for free as free public domain records the way they always should have been. But in cases where there are archives or libraries or state agencies who just don't want to have these records online, not even the index, we're going to go after them, and we're going to make them put it online because these are our records. They belong to the public, and we are tired of asking nicely and getting nowhere.
Hey, we're out of time, Brooke. Thank you so much for coming on. The website address, once again, is reclaimtherecords.org. She's my hero, Brooke Gans from Mill Valley, California. Well, you're doing great things that's going to make a big difference for many years to come in family history research. Thanks for coming on, Brooke.
Thanks for having me.
And coming up next, Tom Perry talks preservation on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show in 3 minutes.
Legacy Tree Genealogist is a proud sponsor of Extreme Genes. Based in Salt Lake City, Utah, near the world's largest family history library, we've been working with genealogists all over the globe since 2004 to track down records, find your ancestors, and the stories that bring your legacy to life. We also analyze DNA test results, help you join lineage societies, and find missing cousins or heirs to property. Legacy Tree is the recommended research partner of MyHeritage.com and is the world's highest class client-rated genealogy firm. Call us toll-free at 1-800-818-1476. Call now or register online to get a free estimate. Learn from our free genealogy tips on our blog at legacytree.com/blog. Even experienced researchers can benefit from our proven and experienced staff of specialists who can bring new approaches to old problems. Legacy Tree Genealogists. We do the research, you enjoy the discoveries. LegacyTree.com.
Extreme Genes is sponsored in part by 23andme.com, a personalized genetic service that helps you understand what your 23 pairs of chromosomes, your DNA, say about you. 23andme.com gives you a snapshot view of your DNA with more than 60 detailed reports on your health, traits, and ancestry, plus tools to explore and compare your DNA with family and friends. 23andme.com is the first and only genetic service available directly to you that includes reports that meet FDA standards. Here's how it works. Order your DNA kit from 23andme.com. Provide your saliva sample from home and mail it back to a CLIA-certified lab. Then you'll be notified when your reports are ready online. You'll also receive ongoing reports as new genetic discoveries are made and as 23andme.com is able to clear new reports through the FDA. See why more than 1 million people are experiencing their genetics with 23andme.com. Order your DNA kit today at 23andme.com.
Well, genies, my personal family history researcher who sends me new information day and night has sent me some incredible new records and newspaper stories lately. Hi, it's Fisher, and the name of that researcher, by the way, is myheritage.com. It's the hardest working service in genealogy, looking for records of your family 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yes, even while you're sleeping. How does it work? MyHeritage uses hundreds of algorithms to match your ancestors to over 5 billion records from around the world, and with 97% accuracy. That means no more wasting time figuring out whether or not a match really is a match. I hear from listeners all the time who are shocked with how much information is accurately found and then passed along. And now MyHeritage will translate your ancestors' names into English or any other language you like from foreign records. In fact, it works with over 40 languages. No one else does this. Whether you're a beginner or seasoned researcher, you need myheritage.com. It is preservation time at Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and extremegenes.com. Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, and this segment is brought to you by legacytree.com. And Tom Perry is here from tmcplace.com, our preservation authority. How you doing, Tom?
Super.
All right, now we have some issues that have come up. People concerned about MP4s, and of course, we'd love to talk about how you can digitize your materials into different formats, how you preserve them, and MP4s is the format for?
MP4s are used for a lot of different things. In fact, if you've ever downloaded Netflix, that's what they are. They're MP4s. If you've ever got small enough video files to email, they're usually MP4s. And so some people think an MP4 is an MP4, just like a car is a car, whatever, and it's not. It's just like a DVD. Most people get a DVD, they assume it's 2 hours. We have equipment that we can put 1 hour that fills an entire DVD. We can do 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, even up to 8, and I've even seen ones go as high as 12 hours. So your disc is still the same size, it's just your stuff is compressed. And so some people say, well, why don't you put 4 of my 2-hour ones on here and give me an 8-hour disc? Well, the inherent problems with something like that is like pixels when we're scanning photos.
Right.
That all the little zeros and ones are so teeny, they're microscopic, they're almost like quarks, they're so teeny. And so if you accidentally damage your disc, which could just be a little scratch or a little scuff, it's going to cover like, say, maybe 50 zeros and ones. So even if you have oversampling on your DVD player, it's going to say, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, I can't read this now. Whereas if you only have an hour on that same disc, the standard scratch or smudge is going to oversample it, figure out, okay, here's a 0, it goes 001, 1100, so I know the missing thing's probably
Right.
a 0, and it'll scan over it.
So it's too much compression, basically.
Exactly.
And it's risky.
Absolutely. It's, especially if you're archiving things, you want your archival items to be able to be rescued very easily, and the tighter you fit stuff into that, the harder it's going to be.
So this is comparable to trying to make a 3x5 photo into an 8x10. It depends on how much detail you put into it, right?
Yeah, that's an absolutely perfect example. For instance, if you have a 3x5 that you want to enlarge to an 8x10 and you do it at 350 DPI, and they think, well, no, I'm going to go 1200 DPI. I can pretty much guarantee if you used a good quality scanner, when you make that 3x5 into an 8x10, whether you go 350 DPI or 1200 DPI, you're not going to see a difference. If you're making a billboard, then you're going to see a difference. And so it always comes back to, which we talk a lot about on here, you need to know what your end game is. If all you want to do is preserve this stuff so you can look at it, you're never going to make billboards out of it or anything, then the smaller DPI is fine, which you can go to my Twitter account and you can actually see a chart that kind of gives you some ideas of what are the best DPIs to scan stuff at. And I always go usually one higher than what the recommended is.
Well, that's a good way to go. And also the higher it is, it means you get more detail if you're going to do some visual editing on it.
Exactly. It all comes down to your end games.
So back to the MP4s.
So the MP4s are exactly the same. Like we've had a lot of people that have called us and asked us questions about the DVA that we talked about a few weeks ago. For instance, let me give you a good example on that. When people come in and say, hey, I want my tape turned into a DVA so I can actually edit it online and I have all these cool thumbnails and everything to preview my tape before I even play it, this gives you the opportunity to do it at a smaller compression ratio. So when we upload them on the web for you to go and edit, a 2-hour video is only 750 megabytes, which sounds kind of small. Whereas if you say, hey, I want an MP4 on my flash drive as well, or on a disk, or on my hard drive, or whatever, then we do the exact same video at 4 gigabytes. And so people think, wow, those are two totally different numbers.
Sure.
How can they be, workable? Well, most people don't have a 72-inch television in their house, so you're probably not going to notice a difference, just like Netflix. So if all you're going to be doing is basic editing, you're never going to go in and do any fancy stuff, the 750 megabyte 2-hour video is going to be fine. You won't need the 4 gigabyte unless you want to archive it for people to do something with it later.
All right, what are we going to get to next?
There's a lot of family history conferences coming up, and we're going to talk about some of them across the country this summer.
All right, coming up in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chart Masters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartMasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chart Masters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chart Masters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chart Masters today at FamilyChartMasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chart Masters will give the greatest care to your family history.
When was the last time you heard your grandmother's voice or saw your family enjoying life back in the 1950s or 60s? If the reason is you haven't known what to do with your old recordings, videos, and films, here's your answer. The Multimedia Center in Salt Lake City.
We brought in a video project to the Multimedia Center, and overnight they duplicated it to DVD so we could meet our deadline.
The Multimedia Center, 2870 East, 3300 South, Salt Lake City. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Call 801-483-1717 or go to transferduplication.com.
Genies, it's Fisher with exciting news. The Weekly Genie, the official newsletter of Extreme Genes, is here. It's your Monday morning briefing on what's happening in the world of genealogy and family history and on Extreme Genes. Get all the details of jaw-dropping stories of discovery and keep up with the latest techniques in family history research. Get to know more about your favorite Extreme Genes personalities, and it's free. Sign up for the Weekly Genie now at extremegenes.com or the Extreme Genes Facebook page. And when you do, you'll receive David Allen Lambert's Top 10 Tips for Beginning Genealogists from the Chief Genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society. Sign up today for the Weekly Genie. All right, back at it for our final segment of Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show for this week. Tom Perry is here from TMCplace.com, the Preservation Authority. And Tom, now that the summer months are upon us, I know you got road trips in your mind and a lot of events that are coming up.
Oh, there's tons of them. And again, you can go to our Twitter account and see them. It's at AskTomP. But there's a lot of really good ones coming up that I want to let everybody know about. And you can do more research online, obviously. There's a big, huge one that's really going to be a lot of fun. They have a lot of Native American things going on during the show. They have special things for kids. It's kind of almost like a miniature Roots Tech, but on steroids. So it's kind of between the two, if you can understand that. And that's September 14th, 15th, and 16th in St. George, Utah, which is going to be a great one. That's one that I wouldn't miss for sure, and we will definitely be there. Since we're talking about Utah, there's another one on September 9th in Ogden, Utah, Weber State University, which is always a good one. We'll be at that one. There's one in Billings, Montana. So if you're up in the Northwest, this is a great one to go to. It's September 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. There's one in Colby, Kansas, October 13th and 14th. We have one in Tucson on July 24th through the 30th. Houston, October 20th through the 22nd. We've got Columbus, Ohio, August 4th through the 5th. Louisville, Kentucky, August 25th through the 26th. And another really, really big one, it's in Pittsburgh, and it's August 30th through September 2nd. And so it's a great one. We're going to get to as many of those as we can.
And you're going to be on the road, so this is a chance for people to meet you and do some preservation, or at least talk some preservation. Maybe bring some items from your home that you've been thinking about. What am I going to do with this? Tom's got the expertise to help you out.
Yeah, that's awesome. In fact, I love doing these shows because people bring us sometimes some strange things, whether they're, the old viewers from the gaff machines. We've had some things that are like tin types, but they're like tin types with somebody's glued glass on the top of them, all kinds of things. And 9 out of 10 times, I can tell you what we can do with them. If not, I know the people that I can send pictures to. And if you're scared about bringing your stuff with you, just take photos. Take a top, a back, and I can look through your iPhone and look at the photos and give you some indication too. But we love talking to people. We love helping people. Don't ever hesitate to tweet us or email us because we're here to help you. That's why we do this. We do it because we love helping people.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the other day I had somebody send me an old photograph, and I knew one of the people in there because it was my great-grandfather's paramour and what we thought were two sisters. And I was thinking it was from the mid-1890s, and I forwarded it on to Maureen Taylor, the photo detective we've had on the show many times in the past. She's so good at it. And she said, "Oh, love this picture. This was a style that was popular in magazines in 1882." And she completely changed the way I viewed the picture because she knew what they were wearing. She knew the sleeve that this tin type was in and when that was popular, and was able to pinpoint the year as 1882. So it's amazing what we can do with photos today and how we can preserve them, because then I took a scan of this and was able to actually Photoshop it for my cousin and send it back to him. And of course, he was pretty excited about that.
Oh, yeah. These people that are so deep into things like this, it's incredible. Like I've got an employee that, he just gets excited when he sees a reel-to-reel machine come in to be repaired or an old wire recorder. He just loves these old things, and he's only like 16 years old. So like you say, there's so many different people out there breaking through the brick wall. We talk to fish. You need information on how to preserve your stuff, talk to me. Dating things, all these different people. There's so many people out there that have so much information. You just need to get to the right people, and they'll answer your questions for you.
Always good to see you, Tom. Talk to you next week.
My pleasure.
That is a wrap on this week's show, and thanks so much to Brooke Gans from ReclaimTheRecords.org. Boy, what a great concept she's got in chasing after government agencies that won't free up records that have been paid for by taxpayers using Freedom of Information Act requests. If you missed the interview, catch the podcast at extremegenes.com, iTunes, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn Radio. Hey, don't forget, by the way, sign up for our weekly Genie newsletter. We are running out of month. If you sign up this month at extremegenes.com or on our Facebook page, you're eligible for a free DNA kit we're going to be giving away on July 10th. So get signed up right now. Next week, we're going to talk to the lady who went grave witching in Topeka, Kansas. How is it done, and how could you do it? You're going to find out. Talk to you next week. Thanks for joining us. And remember, as far as everyone knows, we're a nice, normal family.